So next we're flying, not so far, we're flying from Watford and zooming over to Wapping, from Watford to Wapping. He is a very special devotee. I've had innumerable, countless experiences of doing all sorts of different things with this devotee. He is a beautiful, like his national cuisine, he's very tasty. And I better be careful what I say because I know a lot about this person, so I have to be appropriate here. But actually, one of my fondest memories of this person is that Vrindadidi, Maharaja's daughter, she got married to a lady, and she asked me to officiate, kind of in a quasi way, say some prayers, do a speech, and also I volunteered to cook. And I couldn't think of a better person to make prasadam with. It was actually Balaram's appearance there, to make prasadam with than this person. He is the funnest person to cook with, because not only a great cook, but knows how to have a lot of fun. He's also, on a serious note, done a lot of seva, a lot of book distribution, a lot of Sankirtan. Many times would try and get me out on Sankirtan. I was like, yeah, tomorrow, manana, kind of thing. He's also very expert at deity worship, knows a lot of tattva, and is always happiest when he's serving. Fantastic sevak. So I'm very happy to introduce our beloved godbrother, Sriman Yadhubara Prabhu, or Srila Sriman Yadhubara Das. Haribol, thank you for agreeing to share with us, Prabhu. Over to you.
To everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Glorification for Srila Gurudeva is always one of the most beautiful things a disciple, a person could do, because it brings back memories, and all these memories builds up to become a strong link. So every time, this is the goal of life, actually, to meditate on the lotus feet of Srila Gurudeva. And to meditate means to talk about it and to spread his leelas, his teachings, and his glories. So that's the goal of life. And I'm very grateful that the Vaishnavis have invited me to take this opportunity. So I didn't prepare a speech as such, because I was waiting for Jagat and Didi's speech, first of all. So along her speech, I made some notes, like to guide me on how to glorify Srila Gurudeva today. So the first thing I remember from Srila Gurudeva, the first teaching I can remember, he was talking in Mexico, very beautiful things. And I was like, wow, this is really hard. How can I grasp all this? It's so much for me. I was coming from a few years in ISKCON. When suddenly Gurudeva says something, when he says, the gopis, they are expert in friendship. And that just got me, like, wow, this is so beautiful. It's true. And because he was talking about we should catch something that will inspire us. And I was like, well, that inspired me a lot. That concept about the gopis being experts on friendship, well, I would like to be expert in friendship. I don't know about what is my sarupa. At that time, I didn't even have a concept of sarupa or anything. But I don't know about what is my destination, or what will drive me in. But that thing about being expert in friendship sounds beautiful. And then I came to know about Gurudeva's friendship with Srila Prabhupada, and etc. And then you can see by their dealings how they are expert in friendship. So Srila Gurudev, then he was talking about one verse that he says that everyone should know, and all his disciples should know and being able to preach about, which is Anukuljena. Well, we were Anya Vilasita Sunyang, Yana Kamani Anavritan, Anukuljena Krishnanu Silanam Bhakti Ruttama. So we know that's the definition of Uttam Bhakti. But Gurudev made a note about this when I heard the first time. Gurudev says, this verse, when he says Krishnanu Silanam, he says that doesn't apply to you, Srila Gurudev says. I mean, it doesn't apply to us. And I was puzzled. And then he immediately continued. He says, because this is Krishnanu Silalam, how can you practice when you're not able to see Krishna? When you cannot directly do service for him, how can you practice this Krishnanu Silanam? Then Gurudev explains, therefore, for a sadhak, the meaning of this verse in this part is Guru Nu Silanam. So we apply all these service attitude, cultivation of the favorable mood, and do everything for his pleasure. We apply that as sadhakas to Srila Gurudev. Because when we do Guru Nu Silanam, everything for his pleasure, and we perform without any ulterior motivation, then Krishna is happy as well. So this is the definition for the sadhaka of what is Uttam Bhakti, meaning we surrender totally at the feet of Sri Guru. So Srila Gurudev, he's got a speciality, and he himself explains about that when there's a class, there's a video actually, one morning walk indeed. So some devotees were listening from some other Vaishnavas, and there was like some confusion. And Gurudev simply says, you know why? And he mentioned certain Vaishnavas. Gurudev says they can't speak like us, referring to himself and to Parang Gurudev. And Srila Gurudev explained the reason is that because Srila Parang Gurudev was so close, so intimate with Srila Prabhupada, that there were so many things that were only revealed to Parang Gurudev, to Bhakti and Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Their relationship was so intimate that in Hindi, there's two ways to say you. There is the formal you that you will use for your seniors, for teachers, for officials, etc. And then is a personal you that you will use for your brothers, if they are junior, for your juniors, for your friends, for those who are intimate to you. You use the personal you. Srila Gurudev explains that whenever Parang Gurudev and Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Prabhupada will talk to each other, they will use the personal you. They will then use the formal you. So, but Parang Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada wouldn't talk in that manner to anyone else, but only to Parang Gurudev, that intimate relationship. So therefore, Gurudev explains every night when Parang Gurudev will come back and sleep at the feet of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he will hear a lot of Harikatha, like personally given to him from the lips of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And then the same by Parang. That's why Gurudev says this is a speciality. Why Gurudev is giving so much nectar and special chest is because the condensed relationship is there. So much that in one occasion, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, when someone asked about Gurudev, they asked something about Narayana Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj say, well, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj is the embodiment of the teachings, of the instructions of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. That was a proclamation of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. Beautiful. And we can see how, and he says he's fulfilling the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So very, very beautiful the way how even senior Vaishnavas will glorify Srila Gurudev. But Srila Gurudev also had this beautiful characteristic where he has his Acharya Lila manifesting all the time and instructing and generating beautiful publications and inspiring devotees to be engaged in seva and directing a mission, etc. And at the same time, he will have an absolute personal relationship with each and every one who will come close to him. And that is the characteristic of a Sadguru. He can personally relate to anyone in an instant. The only thing one requires is to have the proper attitude. And we could see it in Leelas of Srila Gurudev. There is one thing that Srila Gurudev made emphasis a lot, which is the Guru Nishta. So there was one occasion, this I think it was Badger or Los Angeles, I can't remember, but it's on video as well. So one Didi was following Srila Gurudev. Srila Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, are you gonna be my guru life after life? Gurudev didn't reply. And she went again. When everyone is like waiting for Gurudev and paying dandavats and touching his lotus feet, and she went again at the front of the queue, kind of thing. Gurudev, 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 you gonna be my guru life after life? Gurudev didn't reply. Third time she goes again, really asking Gurudev, Gurudev. She wanted to have a certainty. Are you gonna be my guru life after life? And then turns back and says no. And you can see how she goes in shock. And Gurudev explains, no, unless you develop Guru Nishta. If you have Guru Nishta, strong Guru Nishta, then yes. If not, Gurudev explained, the Vaishnava will arrange for other Vaishnava to take care of the disciple on the next life. So it's until we generate strong Guru Nishta for a particular Vaishnava that Vaishnava will be our Guru life after life. We understand the principle of Sri Guru is that Sri Guru is one. So we shouldn't see difference in between the Uttama Mahabhagavacharyas. There's one way to understand this. Gurudev, it's a beautiful lila with Srila Bhakti Vaibhapuri Goswami Maharaj. So I took Harina from Srila Gurudev in Mexico, and few weeks later, Srila Bhakti Vaibhapuri Maharaj came to town, and we were touring around the country with him. He was giving initiations, and he called me and says, Prabhu, I want to give you Diksha. And I said, Maharaj, I can't accept. You're a great personality, but I have given my heart to Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Swami Maharaj. When I say that, Puri Maharaj just went with a massive smile. He was so happy to hear that. It was just pure affection coming out of him. And he put his two hands up. Like Srila Gurudev will do the same thing. Srila Puri Maharaj put his two hands up and he says, between Narayana Maharaj and me, there is no difference. He was really happy. Then, a few years later, I was in Vrindavan, in Govardhan, and I asked Gurudev permission. Gurudev, can I have your permission? I want to go and take darshan from Srila Bhakti Vaibhapuri Maharaj. Gurudev got really happy, smiling at me, like, you want to take darshan? Yes, Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Vaibhapuri Maharaj. Gurudev says, very good. Between Srila Puri Maharaj and me, there is no difference. So we can see there may be different personalities, but there's no difference. That's the principle of Guru Tattva. And between themselves, they don't see any difference. Once in a morning walk, one devotee asked Srila Gurudev about Suddha Sattva and Visuddha Sattva. He says, so Srila Gurudev, when we perfect our sadhana and bhajan, and then we finally attain our destination, so we become Suddha Sattva. Gurudev says yes. So what happened with the eternal associates that they never been here conditioned, but they're there all the time? Are they Suddha Sattva? And Gurudev says, no, they are Suddha Visuddha Sattva. And this is what he asked. Then Gurudev, when you arrive there, you see any difference? No, once you're there, you don't notice. There's no difference. So I'm trying to remember little things I experienced in the teachings of Srila Gurudev, so I can glorify him by simply remembering his glories, his activities. There's one part of Srila Gurudev's mercy, whereas that we experience, a lot of us experience, if not all of us, which is the part when you render in service. When you have the opportunity, the mercy given by the Vaishnavas to render service, is actually, that is the cause of bliss. It's like that verse, Klesagni Subhada Moksha Laguta Kritsudur Lava Sandrananda Viseksatma Sri Krishna Karshini Shaksa. So Sandrananda Viseksatma, that means that Bhakti Devi is Sandrananda Visheks, is the form of pure happiness. That is Bhakti Devi. There's nothing that surpasses her. So Sandra Ananda, that form, the supreme form of happiness, that's Bhakti Devi. So whenever the devotees are engaging in seva, eventually bliss comes. It may not happen first. It may not happen the second attempt. It may not happen the first or the fifth or the 10th attempt. But there's definitely bliss when performing any service. So in that sense, and then this verse, for example, finish with Sri Krishna Karsini Chaksa. So that's the only thing. Bhakti Devi is the only thing that can attract Sri Krishna. And the verse explains attraction like a beautiful scent. So Bhakti Devi is like this beautiful scent that attracts Krishna. So for our understanding is like when we have Guru Bhakti, then Krishna will be attracted to us. Then he will show his mercy. If Gurudev is giving us his mercy, and then we have Guru Bhakti, and then that beautiful scent of Guru Bhakti, that beautiful scent will attract Krishna even further, and will attract his mercy, will attract the mercy of Radha and Krishna, which is already manifest in the form of Sri Guru. And as during pastimes of Srila Gurudev, and now that all the devotees here in London, apart from me, I'm guilty of not having enough enthusiasm probably, or to worry about cold and illness. But engaging in Nagar Sankirtan, that's also a must. That's one of the top priorities of Srila Gurudev's mission. I remember once in Vrindavan, so some devotees went out for Nagar Sankirtan. They just didn't make it for whatever reason. Gurudev got so infuriated. He was furious. He wasn't happy at all. And then he commanded everyone to go. Like there was no chance. Everyone there has to go at the moment and join the Sankirtan party. And then Gurudev says, "Who you think you are? You all are byproducts of Nagar Sankirtan. So you all should go and perform Nagar Sankirtan." At least, so we understood. Yes, like Gurudev say, you all are byproducts of Nagar Sankirtan. I mean, if we analyze that a little bit, imagine every time the devotees go out and chant the holy names on the street, the ant is hearing, the dog is listening, the spider is listening, the cat is listening, the children, the girls, the boys, the elderly, the young, everyone is listening. So maybe not this life, or maybe the next, or in 10 million lives, but they are sure that they will come to Krishna because someone was chanting on the street. So that I understand when Gurudev says you are byproducts of Nagar Sankirtan. I mean, someone some point in time, in some universe, went out, did Nagar Sankirtan, and because that somebody did at some point, I was able to listen to the vibration of the flute. Because that's what the devotees are transmitting in a sense, by chanting the names of Sri Radha and Krishna. So, and that brings the soul eventually and builds up the Sukriti, so one day we can come in contact with such a Vaishnava like Srila Gurudev. So yes, Nagar Sankirtan, top priority on Gurudev's mission. Same as whenever we used to go for parikrams, Gurudev will get absolutely furious if he will see someone staying back for whatever the reason. We're like, no, you should go and do parikram. So top priority on the mission of Srila Gurudev. And also when we see the Leelas of Srila Gurudev, he was always very bold, very sweet, and very bold. He will defeat any misconception with no effort, in no time. And when the sole impetus of worshipping his Ishtadev, his Gurudev, and helping the innocent, and helping the seeker. And during his Leelas, we also learn how to proceed when circumstances happens. And when we see also Vaishnavas and the Leelas they have with Srila Gurudev, we can learn a lot from that. Like there's one episode in this is a very old magazine from back in the days. It hasn't been reprinted, but it's really nice. The true conception of Sri Guru Tattva, but this is the old version. So in this part, I want to read a little bit because Srila Gurudeva talking about preaching and the necessity of preaching. First, he describes how some devotees are think that preaching is only how many books I'm distributing or how much money I'm giving to the temple, and there is enough arrangement for prasad and feed the devotees, and that's it. That's preaching. Gurudeva says no, that's not preaching. This is that's how he say. Let me find it how he says. We are preaching the whole world, etc., etc. We live in the mud. This is practicing. Gurudeva explained. This kind of preaching is just practicing. This says when you do this kind of preaching, after a few months, after a few years, then that person who preached this way, the bad habits will come back, and he will be found guilty of this. He will be driven off the temple, and he himself will live bhakti forever. So he says, I'm going to read now Gurudeva's words. Preaching successfully is not cheap. If you are following the process and are having some realization, then try to give it to others. The soul becomes very blissful by practicing bhakti yoga, and Krishna manifests in our hearts. So, in your hearts. So first you shall be satisfied yourself by chanting and remembering. And when your faith is strong, you can properly preach. Otherwise, you are cheating. And we see in this world that persons who cheat others are themselves cheated by Krishna. So in this way, we understand Gurudeva's instructions about preaching. So Gurudeva will also stop someone when preaching something and then not sustaining it with some verse, with some evidence. Gurudeva says that you're cheating. So whenever we talking about Tata Siddhanta, we should be able to quote verses to show the evidence. We know in Java Dharma is the first thing we learn with the Dasamula Siksha is Anaya Prameya. So we need to have evidence and quote the evidence. Otherwise, our mind may trick us, and we may even believe that we're talking the right thing, but we may even be cheating ourselves and cheating others. So that's why Gurudev, I remember in Mexico, the first time I hear him, he says, you should know Jiva Tattva, you should know Bhakti Tattva, you should know Maya Tattva, Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, Gaura Tattva. Then you can chant. Otherwise, you can't chant. So basically, without knowing proper Tattva Siddhanta, pretty much our chanting is almost like blank bullets. So we always strive to understand and to imbibe ourselves with the correct Tattva Siddhanta and the correct conclusions. So when we are practicing our chanting, then our meditation is real. And our meditation gradually gives us revelation. But without Tattva Siddhanta, instead of revelation, we just get imagination. That's not what we want. We don't want a feeling good meditation. We want the mood of surrendering with love and affection to come through our chanting, and that's only by achieving imbuing Tattva Siddhanta. So part of Leelas of Srila Gurudeva, sometimes he will teach us directly with his Leelas, and sometimes we could get the teachings indirectly. Like there was years ago, there was an occasion where there were some proper things, let's say proper offenses.
Time's a few minutes over, by the way.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish now. There were a few people offending Srila Gurudeva, right? So this is one beautiful Vaishnava called Srila Bhaktivedanta Bhagavat Maharaj, disciple of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. He was 101 years old when he got hurt by people offending Gurudev. So he wrote a letter to ISKCON. I'm just going to read one point of his letter. Talking about Vaishnava when 100 years old. If you do not like to invite His Holiness Narayana Maharaj to any of us ISKCON centers, that's fine. But I think that if a Vaishnava shows up at your door and I don't feel any happiness upon seeing him, that also is to be considered Vaishnava aparad. His Holiness Narayana Maharaj is a well-known Vaishnava that you cannot deny. So if you or any of the members of your organization, which is also supposed to be Vaishnava organization, are not happy to see such a Vaishnava at your doorstep, then you are generating such an apparatus. You have to put forward so many arguments to prove that Narayana Maharaj is not an advanced devotee. A word to the wise, please do not express these ideas because you have to care for your own spiritual welfare. And at the same time, be careful not to criticize advanced devotees. You have also stated that Narayana Maharaj's approach is significantly different from your Srila Prabhupada and that he is not Siksha disciple of your founder Acharya. Does that mean that one who offers in details from the line of his guru is not an advanced Vaishnava? If it is so, I would like to ask you a few questions, and please do not consider this an attack, since it has been you who has brought out all these old issues. We do not disrespect Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj, but you yourself are doing it to him. We just want to warn you so that you will not commit any offense against your own guru by misunderstanding his teachings. So this is a beautiful mood of Srila Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad Maharaj, and that's the same mood that all of us, every Vaishnava, every aspiring Vaishnava, every devotee, every disciple should have whenever there's a transgression against his own guru or against other Vaishnavas. We have to step forward. We cannot just say, oh, I don't go in polemic, controversial. We have to step forward because it's for their benefit and for our mind to be fixed in Krishna. It's like Srila Kaviraj Goswami explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, to talk about polemical things is good because that fixes our mind in Krishna. But we can see one, like Srila, just to finish, Srila Bhakti Vedanta, Madam Maharaj gave me a piece of advice. When you see these kind of things, you should talk about this, but do never criticize their personal character because you become like them. So we have to be very careful, and whatever we do, even if it's for the sake of protecting our Gaudiya Sampradaya, it has to be in connection with Srila Gurudeva. It has to be done with love and affection. Otherwise, it's successful. So there's so much to say about Srila Gurudeva. His glories are limitless. But I think now we're gonna hear from such a great inspiration, which is Sripad Asha Maharaj, and I'm grateful to be invited to this congregation, and very inspired to hear from Jagat Didi and from Asha Maharaj, and also from Yadhubara Prabhu. As many years I haven't seen him. Dandavat Prabhu. All the glories to Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande.
Thank you, Yadhubara Prabhu. Thank you so much. When you were talking about the girl who asked Gurudev that question at the beginning, near the beginning of your offering, it reminded me of just how tolerant Gurudev was of so many nonsense questions. And you could almost, although you could feel the quality of the question by the question itself, you could confirm the quality of the question through Gurudev's expression and engagement in response. It was always quite funny, actually.
Yeah. Or he would just say, "That's not a question."
Well, my favorite one was where he pretended not to hear it. That was my favorite. Where he'd sort of like,
yes.
Or the another one was where he just agreed to the person, like that they could, whatever they asked, he'd agreed to them doing it because he knew that they weren't really asking him whether they should do it.
Everyone feared that one. If Gurudev will tell you as you like, that means you're doomed.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah, exactly. One other question I want to ask you is there an implication, because you moved from Nishta to Seva, is there kind of an implication what you're saying is that the best medicine for the development of Nishta, or the best exercise for the development of Nishta is Seva? Is that what you were implying?
It's the only one. Nishta and Seva are together. For example, Gurudev gave the instruction. He asked, what is the symptom of someone who's got Guru Nishta? So So Gurudeva explains the symptom of someone who's got Guru Nishta, you can see it clear because he will see anyone, any person who has done any little seva for his Gurudev, this disciple will feel his life in depth because he will think, oh, you, whoever the person is, you have done something that I couldn't do for my Sila Gurudev. Therefore, my life is in depth with you. Gurudev says, this is the symptom of Guru Nishta.
Beautiful. Thank you, Yada.